getting vision from God and knowing that you don't have the resources for that is a nightmare. There's some stuff that I hear from members that I could never talk about ever again. Right? There are moments when people want to talk to their pastor, they look in your face and tell you something that's just like, okay, all right. Karen Smith, that's her last name, right? I think. Yeah. So she had stopped by and we were talking about something. She said, Pastor, that video that Valencia did several years ago when you gave your testimony really touched me. So I'm like, maybe I need to come on in Testimony Tuesday and talk a little bit more about life, talk about what it means and what's happening in the life of of DeAndre. I'm just really thankful to God, right? Romans 8:28, and I promised myself I'm not going to cry because I'm a crier, right? But I am really thankful to God for what the Lord continues to do, and how the Lord continues to provide, right? Over and over and over and over again, just makes ways that I'm often shocked about, but not surprised by, right? Because I made up in my mind that I'm a tither, right? I'm going to be a tither, right? That's just what I'm going to do. Whatever I receive here at the church, off the top, 10% come off the top, and that's just the way it is. But growing up, we always heard this thing that if you tithe, the Lord will take care of you, you ain't got nothing to worry about. And it's just so true. I mean, just so true on deep levels. Ebony asked me to make desserts for her graduation party. I don't make desserts for people, for parties and stuff. I make it for my kids, but it's just the love that I have for cooking. She asked me to make them. And coming back to Columbus, I'm traveling with my son for Father's Day. I overspent. Like I overdid it, trying to be a big baller for my son, going on roller coasters, buying food, just balling out. I mean, anything he wanted, he got, right? I'm like, okay, you got to pay attention to the budget. Got back to the crib. I ain't had much money, right? We really didn't have anything to kind of work with. I'm like, bro, how am I going to get this stuff for this party? And I'm like, Lord, all right, you say you're going to make a way. And before I went to bed, I know the Lord said, go check a suit pocket. I know the Lord said it. It was like in stereo. I'm like, Lord, whatever. I go to bed, get up next morning, like, how this is going to happen? So I'm like checking around, see if there's any money in the little stash spot I got in the house. Checking suit pants pockets, right? I'm like, all right, let me go try this, what the Lord said. And, don't judge me, I didn't do exactly what he said. Bro, when I tell you, I went into William's room where my suits are, and this peach mauve suit I have, I went to the pocket, went in that pocket. Why are there $200 sitting in the pocket? What? That doesn't even make sense. I account for all my little money because I got a little bit, right? So there's $200 sitting in the pocket of the suit, just right there, just folded in half like regular. I'm like, first of all, where did I get this $200 from? Well, how did it get here? It's like, okay, Lord, you told me exactly what you to go look, and not using the Lord as this kind of spiritual ATM, but it's just like if you listen to him, I promise you, he'll give you the instruction you need when you need it and exactly what you need to get everything you need to get accomplished in that moment. It'll be right there for you. And a part of that is that I know for a fact that life has changed for me in terms of cost, right? Maya's been in college. The kids are becoming older. Nia, Natalie, all need things. And since I've been the pastor of this church, my salary hasn't changed, hasn't gone up at all. And it's been 10 years. Everything has gotten more expensive in the past 10 years. I don't want for anything at all. I don't want for anything at all. I've been to Cancun on trips and things and completely paid for. And I all give that to the fact that I'm a consistent tither. There is nothing you can tell me that will convince me not to give what God deserves. At the beginning, and maybe it's automatic because it comes out of my check, so I don't necessarily see it, right? But it's like at the top of my list of things to do, and I know for a fact God takes care of everything else, not only financially, right? But I think about the blessings that come along with the gift that God blesses you with, right? So not only am I blessed, but my kids are blessed, right? My family's blessed because you make that commitment to God. So not only time, but like talent. Not only treasure, but talent and temple, right? And time, and giving of that to Christ and serving in this ministry role. It really is a nightmare at times, right? Getting vision from God and knowing that you don't have the resources for that is a nightmare. I don't think many people understand or see that part where the Lord kind of gives you these ideas, right? I'm a creative kind of person. I can sit in a room and think. I can think something up. Me and Valencia probably don't need to work together ever because we always come up with an idea. We got ideas out of the back, and it's like, okay, well, we need $40,000 to get that idea. All right, we're gonna put that on the burner for next week. And it becomes a nightmare because you want to accomplish what God has kind of called you to accomplish, but you just don't have the resources to accomplish that. That's very frustrating as a pastor. As leader of our church, where you see the need to accomplish, and you don't have the financial resources or the people resources, or you have the people resources, but the people don't want to tap in to their own resource. And how do you convince people, and how do you train and teach people to tap in to those resources so our church can see the next phase of the greatness where God wants to take us? The testimony, trying to figure out how to work through that, and then seeing the glory of God work through people as they accept the responsibility or gifting that God has given them, right? When I see Sabrina on the back door, right? And, there was a period where she wasn't here for a little bit and then she's back. To see that, right? And to see the engagement, but then also to see the blessings upon her children, right? That are engaged in the life of ministry, right? To see Sabrina walk all across the church to bring a water to her son. That's a mother doing a mother thing. That happens normally, but it's in the context of the church. That's an usher serving a musician. And helping them to be successful in their ministry, right? And then as that grows and that develops, you start to see how God begins to bless the congregation because there's another person that sees that person stand just using their gift, and now the church grows and the church is blessed. So that kind of waking up in the midst of the nightmare to see how you ask God, use me for your glory. God, show me how to use these gifts in the sense of ministry, and help people to use their gifts to ultimately bless the life of the local church, right? I don't know. I'm a consistent tither. I make sure I do that. I make sure I'm focused on tithing. I think one of the struggles areas for me is prayer, and making sure that I consistently spend focused time in prayer. Right? It's easy to pray, oh, Lord, bless me. Spend 30 minutes praying before you get up, sit on the side of the bed. Oh, Lord. But how do you make sure you are rigorous in your prayer life? And that's an area of struggle for me. I try to make sure that I'm consistent with it, but you end up doing like that and your life starts snapping. You got to run.
Yeah, I'm going to pray when I do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to pray when I get back. And
it's like, oh, shoot.
Next thing you know, it's next Thursday.
Right. Yeah. You waking up, and then sometimes I find myself so tired, I start praying. I wake up the next morning, I'm like, oh, man, I'm supposed to be praying. I'm passed out. So really helping and asking God to help me to not only be in an attitude of prayer, but to spend more time in intentional prayer. And it's probably selfish so I can hear more from God. But it probably, I know for a fact, so I can allow God to hear more from me. This is very uncomfortable, right? The whole world is about to see this. So we're taught to have this kind of filter up. So you don't put out too much because you don't want the people looking at you kind of crazy, right? So you hold on to a lot in the fear of, if this person know I ate a whole turkey last night, they're going to talk about me being a glutton for the next 6 months. Ha, ha, ha. That's a joke fun, right? But to think about real sin and real challenge, you got to make sure God hears from you and you're able to pour out, so you're not carrying loads of stuff, right? That people pour into you, right? There's some stuff that I hear from members that I could never talk about ever again, right? There are moments when people want to talk to their pastor, they look in your face and tell you something that's just like, Okay. All right. We're going to figure that out. And you can't talk to anybody about it. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff that I have in my mind from years ago, and then also serving here, you just can only talk to God. Like, you can't talk to anybody. And obviously there's certain things that you have to be able to help lead people to another place, right? But it's that privacy need that people have when they come in to pour into their pastor.
Yeah.
And people say you should share with your therapist and you should talk to this person. There's some things you just can't talk to anybody about but God, because you'll end up prayerfully that stuff doesn't get out, right? You talk to one person, and then that person eventually talks about that to somebody else, and somebody else talks to that to somebody else, and then that person finds out their pastor betrayed that honest truth and the honest trust, right? So it's really important to spend time talking to God, and that's an area for me that I have to make sure I work on. To strengthen that, not only relationship, but strengthen that that pouring out of into God.
Yeah, because it'll, like everything, it's a process. You got to crawl before you walk. And I think the one thing God has taught me about tithing is, at the end of the day, it's obedience. So if you're obedient to me, I'll grow you in all these other spots. And I think one of the problems with the church, we don't understand that it's obedience. Like, at the end of the day, when we read his word, he wants all of our worship, all of our praise, all of our time. The only percentage of us he wants is our first fruits. That's it. Yeah. That's it. Like, and for me, once I understood that, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm going to give my tithe, because everything else he wants all of. Yeah. Like, I don't want a percentage of your gifts. I want all of your gifts. I don't want a percentage of you. I want all of you. Only thing percentage of I want is your first fruits, and I don't even need that. Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, hey, just be obedient to me and watch what I'll do in your life. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's it. Like, at the end of the day, saints, be obedient, watch what he do. If you don't take anything else, be obedient and just watch him work. Yeah. And obedience is not easy, though, right? It's like, obedience is better than sacrifice. Yeah, that sounds good, but Lord, you really want me to do this? And I'm really supposed to do it? I don't want to do this. And it's uncomfortable and it hurts. And oftentimes I think the Lord is trying to get us to be obedient, and we find ourselves in these cycles that we have to do the same thing over and over again, because we won't be obedient to his instruction, his primary instruction, right? The whole idea of trusting him. And we don't, as believers or as followers, spend enough time trusting in the Lord, right? And it's tough. It really, really is. And I think, my personal testimony is to trust God means to really give up on your own orchestration of the path, right? To give up your own orchestration of the path, knowing that it's going to be all right and it's going to work out. To trust God to give up control of a thing so that you can gain control of a thing. And that's tough. It really is, because the Lord does not work the way we often want the Lord to work. And if you're truthful, it's sometimes never the same, right? The Lord does it this way here and then flips it up on us and does it differently here. And you're like, well, I would have known if you would have worked it out the similar way, so I can understand the pattern and the path, right? But sometimes oftentimes, the Lord works it in such a way where our trust is so significant to the success of the thing, right? And
if I'm honest, there have been moments when I did not trust the Lord enough, and then watch the thing fail, and that sucks. That's the part about life and ministry where you don't trust the Lord enough, and you do something different than you're supposed to be doing, and you're expecting for the thing to be successful, and then you sit through the thing failing, and you say to yourself, "Oh, silly me! If I would have maybe trusted the Lord completely, the thing would have worked out." And it's hard to do that because you relinquish your training, right? You relinquish your study, right? And you kind of say, "Okay, here you go." And maybe it's not that hard because you get in airplanes, right? I'm in an airplane all the time, and so you relinquish all power to this pilot. You can't do it from this seat. I can't do anything in the sense of emergency. This pilot has all control, and I can't do that in my complete life with God. Right? And it's situational, and I understand it, right? It's situational. Do I trust God in my relationship? Do I trust God in my family? Do I trust God in my life? And if we're on it, I'm on my testimony. There have been moments when I'm like, "All right, God, I trust you here,
but not here.
Not completely here." Absolutely not. God, I completely trust you over here, and maybe also saying, "I don't completely trust you, but I'm gonna let that thing be your thing while I focus on this thing, because I know this thing." And God showed me over and over again that if you completely trust me, I'll work it out. Yeah. But if you halfway trust me,
you're gonna sit in it.
It's not gonna work out the way. It's not gonna work out the way in which it's designed to completely work out, because you were hindering, or we are hindering, God's complete work. Right? You know,
because He's gonna work it out for our good. But at the end of the day, He wants to work it out for our great, not just good.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's the better way of saying it. So work it out for God. For God's good is our great. Yeah. Right. God. The Bible tells us that God is going to work it out for His glory, for His good. He's going to work it out. But when we kind of say good, we got to understand, if it's good for God,
it's great for us.
You know, it's like and great might even be a cap to being good for God, right? That God's gonna work it out for His good, His glory, and then it's like, why are you getting involved in the way of it? But does that then make me lackadaisical? Does that then make me a procrastinator? I procrastinate bad, man. I know DeAndre can get up at 12:30 if something's due at 3 o'clock. He can get up at 12:30 and get it done every single time. I rarely fail at the last minute. I'm a procrastinator. If you know me, Nakia will tell you I'm a procrastinator, and that's not good. It's not a great gift that's not a great thing. But I've learned that I can get it done at the last minute. It's just something I can do. Creates a tremendous amount of stress. It's not good, but if we trust God completely through it, then am I not working at my greatest level? And I think that's a battle I sometimes deal with, right? Trust God. But I got to work hard, but I got to trust God. And you end up in this mental strange space between sit back and let God do it, and then you got to grind and you got to work. We're in the middle of church organization, right? Right now, this is being taped. We're in that space between we got to present church organization. I'm like, all right, Lord, we're ready. Ready to go. I'm trusting you. I got a deadline to meet. And I feel a spirit of procrastination on me right now because I haven't finished the appointments. I haven't called anybody but one person, your son. Oh, sorry, y'all. About, serving as a leader in the church. And I'm saying to the Lord, what's up? And I'm getting kind of nervous because it's almost at the end of the time we're supposed to do this.
But that's one of the moments.
And the Lord hasn't released it.
Do you trust me? That's why I ain't released it. Are you going to trust me?
Frustrated because I know there's a deadline right now that I got to meet. And I haven't been given clearance to call on the people. And I know the way my church works is pastors calling me at the last minute. I know. But I couldn't do it before this moment. And I think sometimes people don't understand how you have to trust and wait on God, but then that impacts how things get done. Right? And I don't believe God is an impulse. God has a plan, has a method, but God speaks and authorizes as at a particular time. And I think oftentimes in ministry for me, it becomes very frustrating when the Lord doesn't send the message in the timing you think you need to get that message. And then it's like, okay, all right, you sent the message, now I got it. And now I'm cramming, trying to get it done. It's finished, and you're sitting back satisfied. Yo, bro, you could have gave me that 3 weeks ago.
And then in moments like that, once you're done, you realize, wait, I still have a lot of time. Like, time, what I've learned, we try to fit God in time, and he is not in time. We're in time, and even though there's not a lot of time we have on this earth, we have a lot of time if we really think about it in God's light. Like, yeah, you got a certain amount of time, but for real, when you really look at it, I have all the time in the world to do it.
Yeah.
It's just, we're human.
Yeah.
So everything is a rush, but it's not.
And the bad part, time and God not working in our chronological time, right? So we understand time to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what we understand time to be, and God working in 1, 7, 12, 11, 15, 44, right? And then when it gets together, it's like, oh, it's perfect. But Lord, you kind of had me on this journey of connecting and getting it done within a particular time. And you get it done. It's like, oh shoot, I have another 40 hours to finish this. Oh, okay. All right, Lord. So, I'm grateful for the journey and all that the Lord has done for me. But I definitely am looking for, I'm looking for the Lord to use me differently than he has in the past and kind of going for it. Right. So kind of for this moment of testimony, I'm kind of looking for the Lord or seeking the Lord to use me in ways where I haven't been used before. And that's kind of my prayer now. And it's probably, I don't know. I'm not sure it's the best prayer to pray to God, because you end up in situations when you're not prepared for it at all. But I find myself sometimes doing the same thing over and over again, sometimes in church, and I'm a creative kind of a person. So, Lord, if you can, teach me how to do some things that I might not be as comfortable with, but I need for my own growth and development. Put me in situations that will force me to trust you even more. Right? And again, it's asking for more, but I think even from last week, kind of thinking that the Lord will not ever put you in a situation that he doesn't make a way of escape for you, right? Will never place you in a place that you don't have the opportunity to be successful for. So Lord, go ahead, put me in those spaces. And then, the funny part is, the Lord kind of, jones you as you kind of have a lot of jokes. Well, are you prepared for those spaces? Right. So I got to study more and spend more time getting ready for those spaces that God kind of will send me to. Yeah. I don't know. I'm probably rambling at this point.
Listen, that's what this safe space is about. Like, this Christian journey is scary. It's a whole bunch of unknowns. But the one thing I've learned is, God's timing, we'll never get that. But he shows you his math plain as day right in your face. Just trust the math he's doing, and then just wait on the time, and he'll work everything else out.
Yeah. I guess I could also answer that question, Pastor, why you got all these kids involved in church, and doing stuff around the church, and why you highlight them so much in worship and ministry. And I think that a part of that is what happened to me in church and happened to me in ministry. I can remember when Bishop, then Reverend W. Darren Moore, was assigned to Greater Centennial Church. I can remember it as clear as day. Tuesday night, we were at choir rehearsal in junior choir, and we knew our pastor, Reverend Jackson, was leaving. And the word somehow trickled down that Reverend Moore was coming to back to Centennial. And when I tell you, he was the running and preaching and the shouting and like situation, like we were thrilled that we were not going to have boring church anymore. And I was heading into 7th grade, and I can remember as clear as day, a couple of months after he got there, they put in this sound system, and about it was a year, I don't know the kind of time frame, but they put in this sound system in the balcony. Sitting in the balcony, I saw it there, and his brother Mark Moore, I asked him about it, and he asked, do you want to learn how to do this? I'm like, do I want to learn how to play with this toy in church? Absolutely. So they made me sit behind the soundboard, learn how to use the soundboard. And as a teenager, I was involved in so much stuff at church that it helped to save me from what was going on in my house.